Where are all my immigrants to Canada? The immigrant journey, I'm sure that you can all attest, was challenging. If you're an immigrant that immigrated and you did not have a challenging immigration journey, kudos to you. You need to let us all know how that journey went, why it was smooth sailing, and there were no challenges. For the rest of us, we can agree that making a move from one country to another, reestablishing, building, for some individuals, rebuilding, can be a challenge. I am Maquita Hibbert, immigration consultant, licensed to practice also before the Immigration and Refugee Board. Welcome to my channel. On this channel, we're going to talk about all things immigration. We're going to talk about immigration programs, immigration applications. I'm going to be providing you with tips and tricks on how you can get that immigration application done. You can select the right immigration program and you can get that application done correctly so that your application can lead to an approval. If this is your first time here, thanks for stopping by. Please like and subscribe so that you can get other videos with content that may be beneficial to you. As mentioned, I am an immigrant to Canada myself. I immigrated to Canada several years ago with my parents and my siblings. We came through family class sponsorship. So when we came to Canada, we landed as permanent residents. I was still fairly young, well, maybe not that young. I was just getting out of the teenage years. So one thing for me moving to a new country was the culture shock. I had traveled before to Canada and also to England, but living here was way different from being a visitor. Because when you're visiting anywhere, you're a tourist. You get to do fun stuff, you get to go to different sites and relax, you're on vacation. But when you're living, now you got to find a job. Now you have to start figuring out your future. And you have to just know where your life is going to go. You can't just sit down and relax and enjoy because you need money. You need to have a plan. So that was me when I came to Canada with my family. As I mentioned, I was old enough to be moving out of the teenage years and into officially adulthood, where now I needed to know what I was going to do with my life. The first thing I did was I got a job. So I got my first job. I was actually working at a hair salon. No, I was not doing hair. I was a receptionist, but I did enjoy the perks of getting free hairstyles. I was always getting my hair flat ironed, washed, treated, and that was quite a luxury for me. But I knew that that wasn't the end all. I was in university in my home country, Jamaica, and I knew that I wanted to go back to school, finish my university education so that I could get a job. Because for me, then, education, as we were taught in Jamaica, is the key to success. So I did want to go back to school and finish my education. I went to York University. My first time visiting the campus, it was so overwhelming. Everything seemed so huge. I drove into on the bus because the buses went right in, and there was just like this big little world that I had to venture in. And when I was to start school, I was so concerned, am I going to be able to find my classes? I was so concerned that I am from a different country. I have an accent. Everyone is going to know that I'm different. That's really what it felt like, that I was different and everyone was going to know that I was different. So I was so fearful. I was so concerned. I was so worried about making this next step in my life, starting university in Canada. But thank God I was able to make it through. It was a transition. I remember my first year, may even be a few years, I rarely spoke in my class. I lost all my marks for participation because I didn't want people to know that I was different. But as I sat there, the strangest thing was I would listen to everyone else around me, and they also sounded different. I was from an English-speaking country. Many of my classmates were not, and their accents were so much deeper than mine. Like sometimes I could barely understand what they were saying, but they were actively participating. And I sat there and I lost all my marks for participation out of that fear of opening my mouth and speaking. But I was very academically ambitious, and when I would see all the times on my grades that I was losing percentages because I would not participate in class, and then I said, no, 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 this has to end now. This needs to stop. I need to start speaking up. Like everyone here is from somewhere. Everyone here, almost everyone has an accent, so I'm not different from everyone else. We're all in the same boat. And I started participating, and I started getting my marks, and I started being more comfortable. So if you're a new immigrant to Canada or anywhere else and you feel different, look around you. Almost everyone else is different. So you're not alone. That is what the world today is. We are one big multicultural landscape, especially here in Canada and in Toronto, which is where I was going to school. So I went to university. I finished my university career. Thank God it was successful. And then eventually I got married. Now I have 4 children. And now I have this career where I'm practicing as an immigration consultant. My journey to immigration consultancy came out of my own immigration experience, like most of us. However, the goal was not to work in immigration or be an immigration consultant to help individuals, but more so I was focused on students and helping students who were going through a similar journey that is transitioning from one step to another, which was high school to university. And that led me into a job as an academic advisor, which eventually led me here. In another video, I'm going to talk about that full journey, how I became an immigration consultant. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this content, and you will like and subscribe so that you can receive further content regarding immigration and regarding me. So take care.